pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Van, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Daniels.
Here.
Councilmember Fox.
Present.
Councilmember Slowey.
Present.
Vice Mayor Bruins.
Present.
And Mayor Miller.
Here.
Tonight's meeting of the Citrus Heights City Council is cablecast live on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel. The meeting is closed caption and webcast at citrusheights.net. Tonight's meeting replays on Monday, October 15th at 9 a.m. and again on Wednesday, October 17th at 6 p.m. on Channel 14. And a DVD copy is available for checkout from any library branch.
Thank you. Next, we have the approval of the agenda.
Move approval.
Second?
So motion is second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Next item, please.
Next item is presentation number 4, a presentation by Sacramento Groundwater Authority Executive Director John Woodling.
Good evening. I've got PowerPoint coming up. Mayor Miller, members of the council, happy to be here. As Amy said, I'm John Woodling, Executive Director of the Sacramento Groundwater Authority. I'm here to talk to you tonight about some of the successes and the future of an organization that this council helped to set in motion 20 years ago, barely after the city was formed. And I think the council at that time did that because they recognized that both groundwater and surface water were key elements of the quality of life for the people and the economy of the city. The Groundwater Authority started with something called the Sacramento Water Forum. And in the 1980s, there was a lot of conflict around increasing need to take water off the river to serve growing populations, serve a growing economy, and the environment on the Lower American River, a wild and scenic river that's one of the crown jewels of our region. So around 1993, a group of stakeholders from business, water providers, environmentalists came together under something called the Water Forum. And really we wanted to come together around two co-equal objectives: provide an adequate water supply for the region to the year 2030, and protect and preserve the fishery, habitat, recreational, environmental benefits of the river. And part of doing that, there were 7 elements to the Water Forum you see here. Part of the solution was taking more water, but only taking more water in wet years off the river. And then in drier years, getting off the river, leaving more water behind for the fishery. In order to do that, we needed to more fully optimize using the groundwater basin. And to do that, we needed to have an institution in place that could adequately manage the basin. So this council, the city of Sacramento, city of Folsom, and the county of Sacramento in August of 1998 created a joint powers agency. It was then called the Sacramento North Area Groundwater Management Agency with the moniker of SNAGMA. Needless to say, that was changed quickly after to Sacramento Groundwater Authority, SGA, which it is now. And at the time, this was really the first time that this institution, a JPA of cities and counties using their police powers to protect the public health and welfare, was used for groundwater management. When SGA started and when the Water Forum was discussed, our groundwater basin was not in a sustainable condition. We had significant overdraft on the order of 80 to 90 feet over the course of 50 years. So roughly 1.5 feet, 2 feet per year, every year groundwater was declining from overpumping, more water going out than was naturally recharging. In addition, as you know, we had some major contaminant plumes at McClellan Air Force Base, at the Aerojet facility, at the rail yards downtown. So we didn't start in a good place to have this resource that we need for the future in the groundwater basin, and we needed to manage both the quality and the quantity for the future. So SGA really was formed primarily to look at the quantity side, and we needed to change this decades of groundwater decline And the goal, as you see in these two pie charts, and this is an example of how we manage water now. 2011, a wet year, you see we took 55% surface water, 45% groundwater. We get to 2014, the first major year of the drought, the biggest year of the drought, we're using 61% groundwater, 39% surface water. So this ability to shift back and forth, we call conjunctive use. And that's really at the heart of our water form solution, and it's fundamental to what SGA is trying to do. And the way we became able to do that was through building lots of facilities, building additional surface water treatment and diversion capacity. So the Peterson plant, San Juan's Peterson plant at Folsom Lake, for example, was significantly enlarged in the late 90s. A pipeline from there to the center of the groundwater basin was built so we could bring surface water in when it's available and offset the groundwater pumping. So you see the groundwater levels start to decline around 1997, 98 when we start to do that, or start to recover. So we've got about a half a foot a year of recovery now, and even in the drought years, 2014, 15, we get a little drop, but then get a little rainfall, it starts coming back up again. On the groundwater quality side, there are already a lot of regulations, a lot of agencies that govern groundwater quality, the regional boards, the county in some cases, the US EPA for some of the Superfund sites we have around. But I think what the case was back in the late 90s was those regulators were operating on the sites they managed. Groundwater managers were trying to use the groundwater basin for water supply, and they didn't communicate very well. So what we really tried to do was increase that communication so the water providers, the groundwater users, could be more a part of the decision-making on how the sites were cleaned up, how they were monitored, and it's worked out pretty well. And then one of the best examples of that is in Carmichael Water District, down near Ansel Hoffman Park. That was actually the first time in the region we took that Aerojet contaminated water that was treated and put it to use in the region on the golf course there. So instead of cleaning up groundwater, putting it in the river to flow downstream to somebody else, we started actually using that water. It became a resource. So in 2014, Senator Fran Pavley and our own Assemblymember Dickinson, who had a history with the beginning of SGA, decided, the whole state needs to manage groundwater better. And they authored the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. And many parts of the state are really struggling to comply with this act. I think because of SGA that the cities and the county put in place, we're well positioned to move forward, comply with the act, and also work with the others to the north of us in our common groundwater basin to move them along. We recently got a grant just under $1 million to do the work for really the next generation of groundwater management and monitoring. What about the future? If you look at our region from space, you see some things. You see we have really 3 reservoirs in California. We have snowpack, we have our groundwater basin, which are pretty big. We have Folsom Reservoir that you probably can't see on there because it's pretty small in comparison. We know the snowpack's really going away. Over time, we're going to have decreasing snowpack. So we're going to need to rely even more on our groundwater basin and taking surface water when it's available, putting it in the groundwater basin so it's there in dry years. So that's really our focus now, is just expanding what we've done so we can be prepared for the future. And that's all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, I do. I have one. So going back to your chart where you had the declining groundwater there. So it looks as though the decline happened and we're maintaining it at the level that it exists today. We're not trying to bring it back up again. Is that correct?
Well, we're trying to recognize that since we dewatered it, it's now storage. And we can use some of that storage and take it back out in dry years. Our goal isn't to bring it back up to where it was historically. One, because it would take a tremendous amount of water. Two,
do it, yeah.
it's challenging with these contaminant plumes. You know, at McClellan, they don't want water rising back into
true.
where soil's contaminated.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's the balance, but we haven't been digging the hole deeper for the last 20 years.
So based on this model then, as we look for future sustainability, this model will provide for that, given what you're doing today?
It will, because we will see this slow march upwards.
Okay.
And bring in surface water, leave at least a portion of it behind, and then take some out in the drier years. So overall, our net, we're gonna plan for increases.
Very happy to hear about the recycling and reuse in our own area. Sit on the sewer board, and we're doing that as well where we can for irrigation and so forth, rather than send it all down south.
Yeah, and that South County Ag, I mean, that's an interesting project, because both those projects, we do what's called in lieu recharge. We don't put the surface water in the ground. We offset somebody who is gonna use groundwater instead, and the groundwater naturally rises. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a perfectly efficient
Works
method
well, yeah.
of recharge.
Thank you.
Very informative. Thank you, Mr. Wood.
All right, thank you.
And we're ready for the next item.
The next item is comments by council members and regional board updates.
Al, would you like to lead us off tonight?
Thank you, Mayor. There was no STA this last couple of weeks. They're off for this month. We had Citrus Heights Leadership Academy is going on. A few of the council members and I sat on a panel with the students or the attendees and had a very good discussion about Citrus Heights, about being in government, about participating in government leadership roles. Interesting group of young folks, up and coming. Most of them are public employees, the police department and the city, and so it was a good time with them and to get to know them a little bit better. Sac Metro Cable, we met. Nothing big and exciting really going on. There's some internal things with negotiations that are going on between the Cable Commission and with Comcast, but other than that, there wasn't a whole lot occurring at this point in time. We had the Battle of the Bands this weekend. Wasn't as well attended at Rush Park as they had hoped, but a good turnout and a great time, good food, good music. The folks there seemed to really enjoy themselves. It was just a tough weekend, I think, because of so many other things going on, including the San Juan Unified School District alumni, I think it was alumni reunion of multiple classes or something like that. I don't know the exact number.
All class reunion.
All class with it. The October Chamber Lunch was, SMUD did a presentation on availability of resources and things for businesses and homes that I found interesting because they put those flyers in the mail, and I don't know how many of them get them. I get them. I see them online if I take the time to open up the online billing that I get, and so I don't really look at them all that time, but I'm going to start looking at a few of them because they are talking about some up-and-coming things that SMUD is going to offer to homeowners in terms of low-interest loans for window replacements, those types of work, for solar, and some other things that they're carrying on for a little longer than what they had initially had indicated. On this week, we did the Chamber Walk with members of the City Council, joining with Chamber members and staff, meeting with businesses in our city. My group in particular was at, I think we focused pretty much around Auburn Boulevard and Greenback. We had a group of medical buildings that are both dental and a wide variety of medical services. And it was interesting to hear their take on doing business in Citrus Heights, why they like it here, and what they would like to see done that could possibly help their business. And again, the focus for them always is like most of us in the community is making sure that the homeless do not become a safety issue with their visitors, with their patients, and with their clients. And the last one today is I went to the Sunrise Marketplace meeting for some discussions on future coming plans, their 20th anniversary, the marketing programs they're going to be trying to put together here in the next few months. So there should be some fun things happening. I think the holidays, they're looking to ramp up some more excitable or more exciting events for families to attend within the marketplace boundaries. So it should be a good time if they're able to get it all put together, and I think they will. That's it.
Jeff, what you been up to?
Sure, well, Al covered leadership, Battle of the Bands. I did have the Sacramento Area Council of Governments Transportation Committee meeting. Nothing really worth reporting out of there. And this Saturday, it's Spooktacular, right?
Yes.
Okay, so at Antelope on the other side of the freeway, and my calendar doesn't tell me what time it is.
I think it
but
starts at 11.
11 a.m. So any of you who have kids or don't have kids and you want to go over and see a lot of businesses that will have booths, and but it's really kind of neat for the kids. They have costume contest, et cetera. So it's a good event put on by the businesses over there. So that's it.
Great, thanks. Brett?
Thank you. Yeah, with Al, I attended the VFW Battle of the Bands barbecue and was very disappointed to see the sparse crowd. That'll come up again, and hopefully you'll hear about them and you get out there, because it was a good time, certainly a good time. You pay a fee, you get in, you eat all the barbecue you want, you drink all the beer you want, so it doesn't get much better than that. So enjoy next time. However, coming up, though, Friday, tomorrow, is an event that you have an opportunity to attend. It's the homecoming for San Juan High School, and the football game is actually featured as the game of the week for KCRA 3. So get out there and support our local schools, our kids, and have a good time. JV game is usually at 5:30, varsity usually at 7, but get there when you can and enjoy. And then also on Monday, the San Juan High School athletic program is holding a fundraiser at Leatherby's, and that's starting at 5 p.m. And you never need a good reason to go to Leatherby's, but here is one. So come out and support, again, our schools, our kids, and help them out. That's it.
San Juan's having a good year.
They're 4-3.
4-3.
Good year for San Juan. They
that is
beat
very
Mesa
good.
Verde, so.
Jeannie?
Thank you. Won't repeat the public events that you guys already reported on. I will just point to a week past Spooktacular, which is the Halloween Parade and event at Rush Park. The parade starts at 9 o'clock, and that's put on by our Citrus Heights Community Marching Band. And then this Saturday, before Spooktacular, for those of you who have kids in PAL is going to be at the Pumpkin Patch on Old Auburn Road from 9 to 12. So you can bring your kids for that and join PAL and get a pumpkin. So reporting on this week, well, I'm going to go back, first of all, to the Saturday before last. We closed the last council meeting in honor in memory of Deputy Mark Stashak, who was killed, was murdered, basically, by a criminal in Rancho Cordova. And several of us went to his funeral service at Adventure Church a week ago, last Saturday. And his family lives in Citrus Heights. His sister goes to Sylvan Middle School. And I just want to do a shout out, first of all, to our police department and the other agencies who accompanied her to school her first day back after her brother had been killed. And it was quite a show of support, and that's what our police department does. And his service was difficult, but it was also very uplifting. And so I'm really pleased to see how many people from our community and from cities as far away as New York City came to honor this man. And then that afternoon, that was in the morning, that afternoon, I was invited to speak and to give, on behalf of the city, at the 100-year anniversary of the Citrus Heights Friends Church, which is on Fair Oaks Boulevard in Woodmore Oaks. That's the very first church in Citrus Heights, and their original building was in the old Sylvan Community Center, the schoolhouse. And then they moved over to what is now Pioneer Baptist Church on Old Auburn Road until they moved, I think, in the 70s to their current location. And that was a lot of fun. And it was really fun to be able to give them a wonderful proclamation that Amy prepared for us, and they were thrilled to be honored like that. And it was just a good old-fashioned church service. So I went to church twice on Saturday last weekend, so. Then, this last week, the sanitation board met. We'd been off for a month. We had a report on Confluence. Confluence is a committee that I sat on a couple years ago that put together a program to use our non-rate and non-revenue income. About $7 million a year between the two agencies comes in from interest and other revenue sources other than what we ratepayers pay for service. So we decided that we would divide it up into 5 pots of money. One is one we already had ongoing, which is rent assistance program. And it by far takes up the lion's share of that revenue, close to $3.5 million of that every year for low-income people who need assistance in paying their fees for sewer service. Then we also created a fund, about $1.5 million for environmental stewardship, and a lot of that goes to American River cleanup. A little over $1 million for economic development assistance. About $600,000 for public education, and most of that is in the Elk Grove School District because that's where the treatment plant exists and they have access to those kids down there. And then there was other. So we had our first annual report on that, and they did a very good job in the first year of this project to really do meaningful work. And they granted the Yolo County Sheriff's Office $175,000 for cleanup of abandoned boats and debris, purchased equipment, took over 6 tons of trash out of the American River in 6 months. And then also in the community of Freeport, they did donated $625,000 to problematic septic tank conversions, which is something that I think is really important. And we have some of those, a few left in Citrus Heights, and so we're working on those too. And then we had a report on the Echo Water update. We get a quarterly report on that. And so I've asked our project engineer, Vic Cayetano, to make a presentation to our council during presentations between now and the end of the year, about 5 minutes, just so you can see from their perspective. And he has some great video, presentation as well. Just how immense this project is. They have, I think, $1.8 million hours of labor on this project, and they've had 11 days of lost work. So that's a really good performance standard, and I think you'll enjoy hearing about it more from him than you do from me. So that's it.
Did you mention the oars?
The what?
The oars, I will.
Oh,
And I will.
yeah, you do that.
Okay, thank you. Leave me something.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I'm not going to repeat all the ones where we all attended, but last Friday I had the pleasure for National Manufacturers Day of attending a facility tour of Sarah Tizet in Rancho Cordova, formerly Max Tool, and I'm going to talk more about this at the next meeting. I was very impressed. High-end drill bits, I guess is the best to say, but it's used in the manufacturing from, aerospace to, anything where they could take a piece of metal and they use these bits to make a part for an airplane or whatever. So I'm going to talk more about this at the next meeting. Did attend the all-class reunion for San Juan, even though I'm a Mesa Verde guy, and the American Legion Battle of the Bands and Barbecue. Despite the turnout, and I think we need to do a better job with our groups kind of organizing their dates, and I'm thinking of a way we can do that so we don't have these conflicts where it's pulling people different directions. This morning, went to the ribbon cutting for the Orr Senior Living, along with Jeannie, you were there, Al? No. The city manager was there, and the number of staff members, including our assistant chief. And this is a new senior living facility on Greenback, just starting construction. I don't know if you've noticed, it's near it's west of Dewey, where the little parklet is, and we have the up and away piece of artwork and stuff. So that looks like it's going to be a real good facility. And I think everything else has been covered coming in the future. So with that, we'll move on to the next item.
The next item is public comment, and members of the audience may address the council on any item of interest to the public and within the council's purview, or on any agenda item before or during the council's consideration of the item. If you wish to address the council during the meeting, fill out a speaker identification sheet and give it to myself, the city clerk. When you're called upon to speak, step forward to the podium and state your name for the record. Normally, speakers are limited to 5 minutes each, with 30 minutes being allowed for all comments, and any public comments beyond the initial 30 minutes may be heard at the conclusion of the agenda, and the mayor has the discretion to lengthen or shorten the allotted times.
Thank you. I have one speaker sheet, Arthur Ketterling.
Thank you, Council. I'm Arthur Ketterling, and I basically just wanted to ask if you have any update on Dignity Health. I heard Mr. Fox mention about just a little bit on certain things, but I was wondering if you happen to know if they're still going to open up probably in the springtime, or, and all, last report I heard was that that they were behind it. They were that it might not be until summertime. And I know my own family position is going to be moving there.
Oh, very good.
And I was just wanting to find out if you have any information
I think
on that.
I'll let our city manager, Chris Boyd, he can give us a quick update on you're talking about the medical office building?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Arthur.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
well, as far as we know right now, they are telling us they're on schedule for the spring. We will see mobilization over there, here, I think as soon as next week. They're going to start their TIs on the top floor and work their way down. And I think as they go floor by floor, they'll be opening for business as that goes through. So right now, it looks like everything's on schedule.
Okay, I was just wanting to see if you had any update on it, because the last I heard was maybe towards summertime, and I know my family position is thinking about February, but I don't think they are, unless that they had caught up.
Okay.
But you said like about springtime is scheduled?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. I have no other speaker sheets. Don't see anybody rushing up. And I know. I have a little bit of a head cold, so it's hard to talk right now. With that, we'll move on to the consent calendar.
So we have consent calendar items 5, 6, 7, and 8 for council consideration.
Move approval.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Consent calendar passes. Thank you.
Public hearings, there are none. So the next item under regular calendar, number 9, the subject is the Citrus Heights Transit Plan adoption, and the recommendation is to adopt a resolution adopting the 2018 Citrus Heights Transit Plan.
And you've got one too? Good evening, Mayor Miller, members of the City Council. This is Mary Poole with the General Services Department, and Tim Payne with Nelson Nygaard Consulting Group to present for your consideration the Citrus Heights Transit Plan. I also want to recognize James Drake in the audience over here from Sacramento RT, who's been one of our key partners throughout this process. And also Arthur Ketterling, who has been one of our key stakeholders in this process and on all things transit, really since the beginning. This plan is the product of approximately 18 months of work with the community, local businesses, and service group representatives, as well as a number of new pop-up workshops that were conducted with Citrus Heights students and the general public. It's intended to serve as a tool to guide the city moving forward as transit service, infrastructure, and operational decisions are made. It does not make any specific route recommendations. Rather, the plan sets forth guiding priorities to assist policy and decision makers in the future. We presented a study on the project a study session on the project to the City Council in January of this year and really went over in detail the outreach, the market demand analysis, the transit service analysis, a service gap analysis, and obtained City Council input on the City Council priorities, which guided us throughout the next step of the plan development, which we then presented to the City Council in June. So we reviewed the draft plan findings and elements again in detail at the June 28th City Council session. And in light of that, we've prepared tonight's presentation as really a brief overview to remind folks and let the public know what is included in the plan, with more of the focus tonight dedicated to service standards and understanding the potential trade-offs that could occur as decisions are made in the future. One of the elements of the plan is to provide guidance as to what the preferred transit system management approach should be for Citrus Heights. And as part of that, staff is working to bring a proposed negotiated annexation agreement with RT to the City Council at a future meeting. The plan is intended to be used for a tool in the development of that agreement, but the agreement itself is not the subject of the item tonight. So just wanted to let you know that. And with that, I'll get started. So the staff recommendation tonight is to hear public comment regarding the transit plan and adopt the Citrus Heights Transit Plan as presented or with any modifications as directed by the City Council. Tonight, the agenda includes a brief project overview and then more intensive review of the preferred plan service standards and next steps. So the overview of the plan is to remind folks what the plan purpose and its objective is, and what the plan is intended to do is to provide a long-term vision for the city with prioritization included so that the city can make decisions that support transit service that meets the needs of the current Citrus Heights community and the future needs of Citrus Heights. It also wants to make sure that consideration of not only traditional but emerging mobility options are considered, and that those mobility options include flexible operational models such as microtransit or maybe some other type of ride-hailing or on-demand services that might help us with some of our coverage challenges. And then it also seeks to help us determine the most appropriate alternative for transit service provision and management. Just to give a reminder of the timeline of the project, so the project began in the spring of 2017, and during the spring and summer, the service analysis was undertaken, the market demand analysis was done. In the summer and fall of 2017, the community input activities were conducted. Coordination with adjacent transit agencies has been ongoing and is actually now ramping up even more now that we have the plan in its final stages. The findings review and documentation was prepared in winter and presented to the council in the study session in June. The alternatives analysis also occurred during that time frame and were included in the study session in June. We did have the study session in January where we presented kind of the first half of the plan, and then the study session in June, again, that brought it all together. And then the final report was completed recently in September, and so here we are before you tonight to present the final plan for adoption. The outreach in this plan was extensive. We already talked about kind of all the layers it included, but just a overview, it included the pop-up workshops. We had an online engagement tool. We did extensive public information outreach and notification, and then those real intensive stakeholder focus group meetings with the business groups as well as human service agency representatives. So the organization of the plan includes an executive summary, and then there's eight chapters, and an extensive Appendix A with detailed route profiles, and then all of the comments that we receive from the surveys are set forth in Appendix B. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tim to walk through the preferred plan.
Thank you, Mary.
Good evening, Mayor Miller and members of the council. It's a pleasure to be here again. The first thing I wanted to do in terms of the preferred plan is go back and remind you, at least briefly, that we considered two different sets of alternatives, one with respect to the types of services that might be provided in Citrus Heights, and the others, how those services might be provided. So turning to the service alternatives considered, we assembled these four scenarios, for lack of a better term, to explore the trade-offs in a fixed revenue environment. So we assumed that there was no increase or decrease in the amount of money that was available to provide transit service in Citrus Heights, and explored various ways that we could meet the needs of the community. And in the process of doing that, we looked at some different transit network scenarios by increasing local service, let's say, in the local trips alternative, or reducing local service and then replacing it with microtransit in the microtransit alternative, or leaving local service at about the same level and increasing emphasis on connecting commuters to work and the regional transit system. And then we did look at one alternative that looked at what it would mean if there were new resources available, what could be done in terms of service expansion. We also, as I mentioned, looked at service delivery alternatives. We looked at three different alternatives. One, which is the status quo, which is the current practice of contracting with SAC-RT to provide the transit services in Citrus Heights. Another was to look at the standalone service. So Citrus Heights would provide its own transit service to residents. I will say about that particular alternative, one of the tremendous gray areas in that is figuring out where RT's responsibilities start and where Citrus Heights' responsibilities take over, or vice versa. So figuring out what Citrus Heights exactly would be responsible for and what we could partner with RT to do is a very, very broad gray area. The third was annexation, and that is to negotiate an annexation agreement with SAC-RT to essentially bring Citrus Heights into a regular and normal part of SAC-RT's service area. Turning now to the preferred plan, then coming out of this analysis of alternatives and with respect to the kinds of services that are provided, rather than put together a preferred transit network, what we ended up doing was identifying a set of priorities and a set of transit access standards, both of which I'm going to talk about here. One of the reasons that we did that is that it appeared, even at that time, that we were moving towards recommending a negotiated annexation with SAC-RT as the method of providing service. And SAC-RT is also in the middle of a process called SAC-RT Forward, which is looking at the entire transit network of the entire region. So rather than trying to put together a transit network that second-guessed what could happen even in Citrus Heights, but more importantly, what would happen in neighboring communities, simply because of, if we mentally go back to that map that we showed early on, there's only one route that SAC-RT currently provides that is mostly contained inside Citrus Heights. All the other transit routes that serve Citrus Heights also serve other communities. So one of the things that we wanted to do was to not presuppose what SAC-RT's RT Forward process would come out with, and then have to try and, after the fact, figure out how it fits with a recommended transit network that would be in the plan. So rather than do that, we stated this in terms of what the community priorities are for services, both for services available to the general public and for services available to those in the community who are disabled. And then also to specify some access standards that give us the ability to measure, are we going forward or backwards in terms of transit access in the community. So the general public services, the transit priorities are to preserve local circulation options for Citrus Heights residents. So those are, could be a combination of fixed route and microtransit service, and I'll talk about that a little bit more when we get into the service standards. Secondly, to ensure Citrus Heights is connected to the regional network. Approximately 40% of every single person who gets on a bus inside Citrus Heights is bound to connect to one of the two light rail alignments that are available through SAC-RT. The majority go to the blue line, but the gold line also has a pretty healthy percentage. So preserving that and ensuring that there is reasonable access to that regional light rail system is extremely important. And then thirdly, it was to start looking at options to improve access to regional employment destinations outside, such as Roseville, which is very popular in Rancho Cordova, by including the possibility of route extensions, perhaps express services. The other piece that there wasn't enough space up there to write about is also to ensure that employment access for people who are employed inside Citrus Heights are also retained and enhanced to the degree possible. In terms of ADA paratransit service, it's essentially to ensure that the access and service to ADA paratransit individuals remains constant. There are a couple of pieces of that SAC-RT is currently financially responsible for, but the nonprofit that operates transit service in the region is also offering, like certain services that don't require a transfer for people to get to medical facilities in Roseville, for instance, is a piece of that equation. So we want to ensure that those services that people who are with disabilities currently have access to are retained long-term. There is a relationship between this plan and the negotiated agreement with SAC-RT for annexation. The plan essentially sets down what Citrus Heights' priorities are and how to measure those priorities, and the intent is that those get imprinted into the annexation agreement with SAC-RT. And like Mary mentioned, that will be coming before council for consideration. It's currently under negotiation with SAC-RT. But I think the important thing is to know that this plan played a very major role in establishing the foundations for how that was going to move forward. So therefore, the guidance for negotiating that comes directly from this plan, and the principles are maintaining local access and connectivity. They go right with the priorities, maintaining and improving regional access and connections, and improving access to regional job centers. This is done by establishing service priorities, service access measures, and travel time measures, and ensure that those standards are monitored and maintained throughout the process. I'm going to turn now to talk about service standards. First, local access and coverage. One of the things that we did in looking at the alternatives to look at several different ways that local access and coverage could be managed. And the current situation is that you have about 56% of the population of Citrus Heights that are within walking distance of a bus stop that has weekday service at some level of frequency, and most of it's hourly frequency or better. So that's kind of a baseline. And currently, for about roughly, I will say, for every hour of microtransit service for smart ride service that is available in the community, each hour of that serves about 32 residents, just roughly speaking. So that's kind of where things are today. So one of the options that we looked at was what would happen if more fixed route service were put into place. And by exploring options in the network and looking specifically at gaps that are in the local network today and suggesting it's possible to move that up to about 68%, and that's by trading off some of the regional services that are not performing as well as they perhaps should, and focusing those resources into local access. At the same time, that takes some of the service away from the regional access piece, leaving microtransit constant. Going the other direction then is to utilize some of the resources that are currently in the local fixed route service to improve microtransit even beyond where it is today. So we're looking at for every hour of microtransit service, instead of serving 32 residents, it serves 8 residents. So it's about 4 times more service than is out on the road today. So we're, again, trying to look at the trade-offs and draw sort of an envelope, if you will, not knowing exactly how this future is going to look, because there are still a lot of questions about where SAC-RT Forward is going. There are an equal and perhaps even greater number of questions about the eventual success rate and where the role of Smart Ride or microtransit is in the future, providing local access within Citrus Heights. So rather than, again, trying to say this is the single answer, what we did is try to draw an envelope so that we have an idea where these things might go longer term. In terms of regional access, we really turn to a very different kind of measurement, and one is minimum service frequency. So access to the regional service that gives people the fastest trip to downtown Sacramento, establishing the principle that that service ought to be available to Citrus Heights every 15 minutes from 6 a.m. until 7 p.m., and that travel time is not more than 10% greater than auto travel time. So a double standard. It's not just 15 minutes. It also means that from Citrus Heights to the rail station, people have a reasonable expectation of making that trip, especially during peak hours, at a pretty good pace, which 10% more than auto travel time for transit is a really good pace. The other then was access to regional employment centers. Some of this exists today, some of it is future. But again, establishing a travel time standard that says not more than 10% greater than equivalent auto travel time, which means that the service is going to be either an express mode or limited stop mode. So they'll only make a limited number of stops getting to those facilities, as we're looking at how to improve access to regional employment centers.
So next steps then would include the adoption of the 2018 Citrus Heights Transit Plan, which is before you tonight, and then moving forward to include the recommended deal points, which is in the staff report as well as in the plan, in the negotiations toward annexation, as well as any related agreements that go along with that. Incorporating the plan as much as possible throughout the SAC-RT Forward process using the service standards that Tim just walked us through. And then continuing to monitor Smart Ride and improve the Smart Ride service based on community feedback. And then ultimately keeping the community engaged and informed as transit service changes are considered and implemented. And that wraps up our presentation. We're available for questions, and then the staff recommendation is here before you.
Okay. Questions? Jeannie?
Thank you very much. Could we go back to the, maybe 3 or 4 pages back where you had the fixed transit versus that one right there? Okay. Got a little confused, I have to confess. Explain this to me again, why it's good that microtransit goes down from 32 residents per hour to 8 residents per hour.
I can actually explain that now, because I have been struggling with this. So we have 1 hour of service.
Right.
So the 32 persons are sharing that 1 hour, or the 8 people are sharing that 1 hour. So that's why 8 people sharing that 1 hour is a better outcome than the 32. Is that right?
I still don't understand it.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say is that less ridership is better. And that flies in the face of everything I've ever heard from RT.
No, it's not ridership, it's the amount of service that's provided. So for each vehicle hour, so I'm providing microtransit service. I have an operator in a vehicle for 8 hours. That is 8 vehicle hours of service. So this is now looking at just 1 vehicle hour of service. Is that 1 vehicle hour service shared by 32 residents, or is it shared by 8 residents? So it's kind of like looking at if I'm dividing up a pie, Am I better off if there are 32 people that are trying to share that pie, or am I better off if there are only 8 people trying to share that pie? So
What-
my piece of the pie is bigger at 8 than 32.
Okay.
Unless you're on a diet, of course, that's.
Well, so what happens to the other 24 people that would normally have ridden that?
There's more hours of service. That's because it's divided by the total population of Citrus Heights, so roughly 84,000 people.
Okay, so you're telling me then that they have more choices?
Correct. There's
Right.
more availability, there's
They don't
more
have to
service
be-
availability, yes.
Okay, now I understand it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I had the same question.
Okay.
And I know we'll be talking about annexation later, and we have our priorities. How is that built into annexation, though? What are the remedies if all of a sudden our priorities just go by the wayside? And I don't think they will, but it's just a concern of mine that they might.
Well, we'll be,
Talking more about
yeah,
that
we'll
later.
be talking
Good to
more
have-
about that
Okay.
at that discussion item.
I think the important thing is the first place this gives you is a measuring stick to know whether it's gotten better or worse. And that's a really important part of that. Because SAC-RT today does not, at least publicly, have service access standards. So there's no way of knowing, do people who are living in Sacramento have more of the population of Sacramento have access to fixed route service than people in Citrus Heights do. So it was important to establish that as a baseline and know, are things under some future proposal, are things getting better or worse for Citrus Heights? This established a baseline and also kind of sets an envelope, that balance between what microtransit access might look like and what fixed route transit access might look like. And that's the purpose.
I might have another question, but would you show the next slide? Okay, okay, so I do have another question. So travel time, not more than 10% greater than auto travel time. So that's saying to me that if I'm going from point A to point B in my car, and it takes me an hour, that if I use public transportation, that it shouldn't take me more than 110% of that hour.
66 minutes, right.
Okay, then I understand that, but you said something subsequent to that that made me think that you were talking about bettering it by 10%, but I know,
Yeah, 110% is and that's actually how it's characterized inside the plan.
okay, so we recognize the fact that it's going to take a little longer,
Right,
but it shouldn't take a lot longer.
correct.
Okay. One more slide forward, and I think that might be the end of my questions. Oh, I guess it
You're
is.
done.
Okay, thank you.
Brett, you got questions?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a great report, there's a lot of work put into it. We saw a kind of a synopsis here in the presentation, but so that the public knows that there was a lot of time put into it, it's about a 150-page report.
Yeah.
With a lot of good information. My comments are really going to be more towards the aspect of possible annexation to SAC-RT. I think the report did take the time to cite many concerns about RT's unsatisfactory performance. I think RT has a history of that. I think the report, if I remember right, cited that only 2 out of the 9 routes performed at the satisfactory 85% on-time standard. That's very concerning to me. We have a contracted service, and just again, so people understand, we're not a part of RT. That's maybe what we're going to think about doing. We contract with them, just like in the past, we've contracted with many things, law enforcement being the biggest one. When we talked about continuing a contract with law enforcement or going with our own type of, our own agency, one of the things was we didn't like the product that we were getting. And so I'm kind of confused on why, if we are demonstrating that we are getting an inferior product as a contracted service, why we would want to join the team. It doesn't make sense to me in that respect. Really, the most troubling thing about this report was what I feel was nearly completely ignored the aspect of ride sharing, which is, to me, in my opinion, or at least I think, becoming extremely popular. We're starting to see that with our rideshare program, which I think has been a great idea. It's catching on, it's getting more and more popular. But it's my understanding that there are entities in the United States that partner or work with Uber and Lyft and whoever to create relationships where you can provide these services to your citizens. I just know that some of the biggest gripe about a person riding a bus is that they're on the bus time. You know, they're not going when they want to go. They got to go when the bus goes. Or they don't go from their front door and get in their car. They have to walk somewhere, and a lot of the bus stops are quite spread out. They're not willing to do that. They're just not going to do that. And so I don't understand why we would ignore that kind of a trend and really it's completely keep it out of what we would consider doing in the future. There are some things in the report that do touch on it, and I do agree with that, but I think we didn't see any information about how that would work. We didn't see like what we would charge somebody to use that service. You know, to ride a bus, they pay $275, I think it is, or maybe that came down just recently.
$250 now.
$250. Don't quite understand that either when taxpayers are subsidizing bus rides to the tune of, I think it's something like $5 or $6 a ride, why that price would come down to the person actually getting the service. I understand the point, but I just have a hard time agreeing with that. Another big concern is that it seems very easy to get ourselves annexed into RT, but we might have a real problem getting out. And it kind of reminds me of our problem with PERS. You know, we're kind of, there's a headlock on us, and we can't get out of PERS because they made it so restrictive to get out of that kind of thing. And that really concerns me when we know we've had issues that we would entertain getting ourselves absorbed into an organization where we might have trouble getting out. So I just don't think it's the right time to consider annexation. There's the issue of SAC-RT Forward. We don't know what's going to come out of that. And it just seems to be not the right time with all of those negative points to join an organization that is so extremely important when put in the perspective also of taxpayer dollars. That's it.
Thank you.
Just a quick comment about microtransit. We actually very intentionally referred to microtransit throughout, except when we were talking specifically about the performance of SmartRide. There is a section in the report that deals with alternatives to SmartRide that are microtransit oriented. One of the difficulties nationwide, and it's just not here in Citrus Heights, is that we don't really understand sitting here today the degree to which it is possible to substitute more traditional forms of public transit service with subsidy, let's say, of Lyft and Uber trips, for lack of a better term right now. There are a handful of communities in the United States who have tried it. Some are showing signs of success, but I wouldn't say they're unqualified successes. And so with that degree of uncertainty, we think that microtransit is going to have a role. We're just not sure exactly how best to do it yet, because we're still finding out a lot about it. So we tried to retain and build in that flexibility because it's far from a certainty what the best way to do it is going to be.
I really appreciate those comments because I think they're right on. But they also, for me, go towards the aspect if we annex in and we find out, hey, we could do something a little better here by doing that kind of a relationship, partnership, that we may have trouble getting out.
Questions? And to that, because I am on the board and we're getting into the route optimization or SAC-RT Forward, we've asked, things have changed. Our whole population, towns are connected now. The routes haven't changed. And so you could build them for the most cost-efficient method for the taxpayers and just go purely ridership. And a good example is the #1 down Greenback. And that is probably the best way to go. The question we'll be faced with, whether or not we annex in, is how much percentage do we do in connectivity and getting people to that number one route? Do we spend 20% on connectivity to get to the high-efficiency routes? Or 30%? You know, that's going to be the question when we optimize the routes themselves. Comment I have that I found very interesting is where the citizens go for employment from Citrus Heights. And I would have thought downtown, and it looked like Rancho Cordova was a higher amount. I found that very interesting, and that's probably one of our worst connections.
Yes.
So,
Especially to the employment area. You can get to Rancho Cordova fairly directly, but the
time.
route does not take you to the employment area. The employment area is on the other side of the Cap Freeway, not on Folsom Boulevard.
right. And that's something that if you could establish some kind of bus rapid transit, if nothing else, would just be a great.
Which is exactly the comment about express or limited stop type service.
Right, right. Well, yeah, a long read. I understand a lot of this, but still, you know, it's going to take a few more times for all this to sink in. And I look forward to looking at the pluses and minuses. I mean, we did have the three choices: do it ourselves and talk to Elk Grove. They don't recommend. It's very expensive, especially with the startup costs for equipment and such. So to me, that's a non-starter. Contract annexation, cost is about the same. So we'll talk more about that. Tonight's not the night. We're looking at the plan, and I want to thank you for your effort. It's very detailed, and like I say, for someone who understands the process, I'm going to read it a few more times just to let it all sink in. And it was neat seeing some of the comments from last year before we even were thinking about Smart Ride or microtransit. In one of the sessions, someone wrote, and excuse me if I can find it real quick, they were very prophetic. I can't find it, so it was just a comment that came in from a citizen going, why can't we have on-demand service, you know? And lo and behold.
I just wanted to revisit and clarify that tonight we are voting on a transit plan.
Correct.
We could put this plan in place and not annex,
Correct.
and take another direction, or something new pops up that we haven't been exposed to yet.
Correct.
Okay. I think it's really, we need to be clear that that is what we are voting on tonight, is a transit plan that addresses all the components that you presented to us tonight and does not, excuse me, necessarily send us in one direction or another, although this would be the basis we would work from if we chose to annex.
Correct. Within this plan, there are specific points that stem from the priorities that were established that would be used to negotiate an
Right.
agreement,
Through a year plus of preparation and outreach.
correct.
Thank you.
No.
If there's no further comments, I'll make a recommendation.
If there's no further questions or comments,
Excuse me. Then with having said that, then I would move staff's recommendation.
Mayor,
second.
do we have a speaker card
oh,
for this
thank
one?
you. Gosh,
Excuse me.
we do have a speaker, Mr. Ketterling. Sorry, I almost forgot about you. Thank you.
Thank you again, Council. After hearing a talk that's between the council and what Mary Pools stated and all and everything, I don't think that, and I'm going to try to say it as clearly as I can, annex would be good at this time. I think it would still be good as a contract through Citrus Heights. But at the same time, as far as I know, that in January that they're going to increase light rail to 15 minutes on the weekends. But at the same time, there's no no plan right at the moment to expand bus service at all of what we already have. That we have, don't get me wrong, the 50-minute service of light rail would help, but at the same time, without increasing any service with the buses, there's no connection. You have to wait the whole hour or whatever it is. I know Rio Linda itself used to be every 2 hours. That's nonsense. If we have to, instead of, they were talking about like a bus, I believe one of them was bus 23, that they were talking about decreasing it from 30 minutes to go to 60 minutes. That's wrong. I believe they need the buses that are already 30 minutes should stay at 30 minutes unless that they increase the service, say like 15. But that would help. But in order to have the system work, they need at least every 30 minutes. And as I said, like with Smart Ride, it is the greatest thing that Citrus Heights had ever started. And I thank RT for doing that. And I don't quite understand, like, of the things of what's on paper at the moment either, like Jeannie, but I'll tell you that I have to read it several times over, and you too, Steve. But I'm trying to have it soak in of what it's saying, and that's my presentation, if you call it a presentation.
Thank you, Arthur. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good comments. Yeah, it's a big document. All right, I heard a motion from Jeannie and a second from Jeff. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? We have a transit plan.
So Mary, when do we think the annexation is coming back?
We're trying to get it on the schedule for next month.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're ready to move on to the next item.
The next item is regular calendar item number 10. The subject is introduction for first reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 38 of the Citrus Heights Code relating to fire prevention and protection.
Mayor and council members, Rhonda Sherman, Community Services Director, and with me is Krishana Fields, who is Metro Fire's Fire Prevention Supervisor. Every 3 years, the California Building Standards Commission publishes the California Building Standards Code, which includes the fire code. Typically, local jurisdictions or districts make their own local amendments, and Metro Fire and the city have been crafting these amendments together. These amendments get incorporated into Chapter 38 of our municipal code, which is called Fire Prevention and Protection. And tonight is the first reading of that ordinance. On October 25th, we'll have the second reading and also the public hearing. It's a little unusual. We usually do public hearing first, but for this item, every time we do the public hearing second, so that will be on October 25th. So Krishana Fields is going to highlight a few of the code changes.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. Krishana Fields with Metro Fire. As Rhonda mentioned, the state of California adopts the model fire codes every 3 years, and this ordinance would adopt the 2016 California Fire Code that went into effect in January of 2017. This adoption was delayed in an effort to provide consistency between Metro Fire and the Cosumnes Fire Department covering the county of Sacramento, as well as consistency between both cities within Metro Fire's jurisdiction. This ordinance contains minimal additions. It is primarily clarifying previous requirements and relocating previous requirements to the applicable code sections. The two most significant additions address changes within the business landscape. The first addition requires the approval of commercial agricultural growing operations. This amendment would require approval of commercial agricultural operations such as the production of tea, herbs, or spices, exclusive of operations not permitted by other legislation such as cannabis. The second significant addition requires the approval of mobile fueling operations. The most significant areas of clarification are within the sprinkler and fire flow requirements. The previous requirement for installation of sprinklers in new buildings of 3,600 square feet or greater are now listed for each occupancy classification versus the blanket requirement for all buildings exceeding 3,600 square feet found in the previous ordinance. This clarification is to be consistent with current code language that separates sprinkler requirements by occupancy, not by building size. Additionally, the requirement for the installation of sprinklers in existing buildings is now aligned with the 3,600 square foot requirement, as opposed to assessed value and valuation of the construction to be completed as previously. It also exempts minor improvements for ADA changes. The last significant clarification is to fire flow and fire hydrant spacing. This model code addition permits a greater reduction in available water for firefighting purposes and an increased fire hydrant spacing than in previous additions. Due to Metro Fire fireground operations, the fire flow and fire hydrant spacing in this ordinance does not reflect the greater reduction, but remains the same as in previous ordinance additions. These are the most significant changes in the proposed ordinance, and I'll be glad to answer any questions the council may have.
Any questions?
Just a clarification on the occupancy for the 3,600. Seems my memory was back in the day, that was a big issue kind of a thing. But are we including homes in that?
No.
Okay, good.
Well,
I just want to make sure.
yes and no. New homes
You
have to
can't
be
have it both
sprinklered.
ways.
New homes have to be sprinklered already under the residential code. So this is in relation to just commercial occupancies.
So any new home now has to have a sprinkler system in it?
That is correct.
Oh, good Lord.
500 square feet or higher.
And so if I build a commercial building of 3,000 square feet, I have to put sprinklers in it. If I build one of 1,000 square feet, I got to put sprinklers in it.
For a commercial structure or for a residence?
Commercial now, I'm just asking for.
Commercial, once you hit 3,600 square feet, you would be sprinklering it.
So the 3,600 was just for where people live?
No,
I'm sorry, I'm
3,600
getting
square feet
confused on
is,
where the application is then.
it's in all commercial occupancies. But before, the ordinance was just specific to 3,600 square foot buildings. The new code puts a sprinkler requirement for every occupancy. So an assembly occupancy, a business occupancy, a manufacturing. So now our sprinkler ordinance lists for every occupancy that same threshold of 3,600 square feet.
Oh, okay, so that didn't reduce the 3,600 down, it just included.
Correct.
So, okay, very good. All right, thank you. That's it.
Any other questions, comments?
Makes sense.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
And I will entertain a motion.
Move the item.
Second.
This motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? We have a new fire code. Thank you. Updated, I guess, would be the correct term. And on to the next item, please.
Next item is department reports, and there are none. Next item is city manager items.
Yes, council, just a couple of things. We have a great community service opportunity coming up at City Hall. So we invite anybody in the community to come to our all-volunteer event on October 27th from 9 to 1, where volunteers will be working on bark restoration and tree planting on the City Hall property. So the event will include lunch, raffle, and prizes, so please invite your friends and family and neighbors. I want to thank Armando Velasquez, our construction manager, for coordinating this event, working so well with the volunteer community in Citrus Heights. And then just a little more on the Chamber Business Walk that just occurred. So it's the 10th anniversary of the City Chamber Business Walk. So glad to continue this partnership, really, that fosters communication with our local business community. We had over 20 city employees participate, including the police department. We visited 130 businesses between Auburn Boulevard and Greenback Lane and spoke to over 100 business representatives. Feedback was largely positive. Just let's see, one highlight was businesses really reported great feedback regarding the city beautification and infrastructure improvements, which really helps confirm for us that the projects like the Auburn Boulevard Complete Streets program are having a positive effect. Our staff is really, staff noticed, has worked hard throughout the summer, really beautifying a lot of our landscape and on the center medians and in the public areas. So, and that effort really brings forward issues that can be addressed by the city and the chamber to really keep the community flowing between us and our business community. So on the staff, I want to thank Haley Reed for organizing this event on behalf of the city and in partnership with the chamber. Thank you.
That brings us to over 1,200 businesses over the past 10 years. And hasn't it always been in a different location? I don't think we've repeated locations.
I think you're right. We've really tried to move around different neighborhoods, business neighborhoods and sectors of the city.
I have a question. On the all-volunteer day, what were the hours of that again?
9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Thank you.
Okay, next item?
Next item is items requested by council members or any future agenda items.
Anything to my right, to my left? Then we're adjourned.